Hello, good morning. My name is Tomas Pinos, and I'm a researcher in the Baidebron Research Institute. And today I'm going to talk about a little initiative that we had for generating and developing a mobile APP for McArdle disease patients. Just to mention that I'm talking on behalf of the EuroMac consortium that you probably know is a European registry for McArdle disease patients, although we would like to expand it to be a worldwide registry. So first of all, let me say that sorry for my English because I'm not an English native speaker. So if this difficults the following of this speech, I'm really sorry about it. I told you I'm a basic researcher in the Baidebron Research Institute in Barcelona, and we as a group have been part of the EuroMac consortium, which is this initiative that was born back in 2012 in order to register as many patients from McArdle disease patients as possible in the European context. So obviously, while creating the EuroMac registry, we had many talks about potential initiatives that could benefit patients besides the typical clinical practice. And I still remember that day that I think it was Andrea Martinucci from Italy that said that why we don't generate a mobile app for patients. That probably would benefit them for their daily life activities, as they would have a control of their physiological rates while doing exercise, so they don't need to go as often to the medical doctor to see what they can do, what they cannot do. I think he mentioned that, Dr. Martinucci mentioned that, I think it was in 2015, 2016, and by then we applied to a European big grant, but it was not approved and we did not receive the money for it. However, moving forward to 2019, I decided to apply for a Spanish grant for doing the basic molecular research that we do with the mouse model. But remembering this conversation with Andrea Martinucci, I thought it was a good idea to include as one of the main objectives of the grant to develop the McArdle disease APP for patients. Luckily enough, I received the grant. Our initial proposal was to destiny about 45,000 euros for developing the APP, but the project was cut down. The budget of the project was cut down when it was approved, down to 30,000. So once we knew that we had these 30,000 euros for developing the APP, the next step was to do a public tender. I don't know how it works in other countries, but here in Spain, if we want to destiny this amount of money for developing any product, we need to do it through a public tender. So I think it was 8 different companies applied, and one of them was the one that was chosen to won the public tender and was chosen to develop the mobile APP. So please keep in mind that this is not a big budget APP. This is just a starting APP as a proof of concept that we can further develop and enhance it. It's the first step in this field in McArdle disease. So I hope it's useful. So the project was funded in 2020, and just recently, in June 2022, Innopulse company, the enterprise that won the public tender for developing the APP, passed us the first version, although it needs to be modified, but they passed us the first version of the APP. And this is a little presentation that they did about this APP, and I will be showing you. So about the different things that the APP can record is the daily registry of steps, you see here. Also the daily registry of minutes of exercise. Also daily registry of episodes of myoglobinuria. Obviously there is not technology yet, as far as I'm concerned, that can record and detect dark urine, but this will need to be introduced manually by the patient once the patient detects that has had a myoglobinuria episode, and the APP will record it. Then the APP will be also able to detect body temperature. The rationale for this was because if there is a rhabdomyolysis episode, in case it was kind of heavy rhabdomyolysis episode, body temperature increases. So it was nice to have this recording in order to alert the patient that there is an increase in temperature. Then there is the pain. Here we'll be using the rate of perceiving pain. In the APP, I guess most patients, you know about the different scale of measuring perceived pain. In the APP, there will be a link explaining it. You will see it, and you will be able to mark after one particular exercise or one particular day or one particular week that you felt that you have had a pain episode that is remarkable. You'll be able to include it. And finally, you'll have the heart rate. The heart rate, Innopulse company told us that most mobiles now include have in their own hardware the capacity to measure heart rate. So we will not need any further or any external device that will need to be included with APP to measure the heart rate. So these are the main variables that will be recorded by the APP. But the aim of this is recording all these variables in order to show you for any particular day which were your recordings for any particular variable, but also for showing you the evolution. But besides that, which is just a recording issue, and to be able to look back which is your progression through the time, we will also have in the APP the chance to include a set alarm, which is an alarm that you can activate. So for any particular heart rate or for any particular temperature threshold, you can tell the APP, if I do an exercise at home and I increase my heart rate above a certain level, please activate the alarm and advise me. So we thought that will help the patients to get some freedom in terms of doing their own exercise activity, and at the same time eliminating to be afraid of, can I damage myself doing this exercise? Because with this alarm you will be able to know which threshold of a certain physiological measure you will not surpass, and in case you do, you will be advised, so you can stop yourself. Okay, here in this back screen we have, here is for seeing the evolution. This is for setting the alarm, and this link will be, because it's included in the APP, recommended exercises. This has been included by Alejandro Lucia. This program of exercises has been included by Dr. Alejandro Lucia and Alfredo Sandaya from Spain, which probably you know them for their articles, but they are kind of worldwide experts in the treatment doing exercise training and the treatment of McArdle disease using exercise training. Also, it will not be obligated to do so, but in case of those patients that want to include their data to the Euromac registry, you will have the option, previous signing obviously a consent form, to pass your data to the Euromac registry. So So in this case, with the chance of passing your data to the Euromac registry, there will be an historic record, and the registry will be able to capture the longitudinal evolution of a high amount of patients. So with this, clinicians and researchers will have a longitudinal natural history of the evolution of the disease, and also we will be able to see how a patient evolves in their clinical severity, whether if they do exercise, whether they don't do exercise. So it will help us to understand how the evolution, how the disease evolves with time. So I think it will be a very useful tool. With this tool, with this APP, we will be able to convert Euromac registry from a static picture of a given patient. Now the registry includes many physiological data from a patient, but just is a picture, a static picture. We see the CK, the pain, whatever, from a very concrete moment. But with the APP, we can automatically, if the patient agrees, we can automatically pass all her physiological data to the registry, having a longitudinal record and evolution of each patient with the disease. Once it's completely available, because we are still, and I'm going to explain you about it a little bit. Once the app is completely finished, you will be able to find it either in Google Play or in Apple Store. At the moment, and because I'm a basic researcher, a molecular basic researcher, I did not have any previous experience with developing technology. It's been complicated, especially for those e-health app, to get all the legal things right before the app can be freely accessible in Google Play or App. So now we are fighting with all the legal requirements in order to be included in these two public stores. So I guess that all these legal things, if there is not any further detail, I hope that by beginning of January 2023 at most, both the app will be available in both platforms. And we needed a name. We needed a name with app because I'm not really good in finding names and making it attractive. So I contacted with Andrew Wakelin and Stacy Reason from the International Association for Muscle Glycogen Storage Disorders, and they helped me in order to find a good name that could be attractive for everyone. And they proposed this logo. I think Andrew did the logo. It's based on the Euromac logo, and Move to Improve name, which reflects the necessity of doing exercise in order to get a better outcome of the disease. Right now, if you Google Move to Improve, you will find it here, and it says that you can download it, but the truth is that until we don't solve all the legal requirements by Google Android, from Android and iPhones, even you download it from here and you find it here in the Google, you will not be able to make it work. So obviously I will advise you once everything is done, and probably I will communicate it through Andrew and Stacy. That will be the channel of communication for all patients, that now the app is freely accessible and working. And then there is a second step. This second step is much more ambitious. Once we have the app working, this is a project that we wrote for Horizon 2022 European grant. This grant, we asked for 6 million euros. It's a very competitive grant. We did not get it, but very close. We were very close to get it. So we have been pushed to ask it again, because they told us that the project was a really good one and it's worth to try it again. So all the Euromac consortium asked for it, and the idea was that Once we have the APP working, we will divide the project in 3 phases. In a phase 1, we will need to check that all the physiological data the APP records is equivalent to what has been previously collected with different systems and with medical doctors measuring it. So we need to get sure that the data from the APP is useful and equivalent to previous recorded data. So this is phase 1, and we will need a number of patients and controls. Once we say, okay, this phase one is finished, the APP is a reliable tool, we will train an artificial intelligence hub. We will do a machine learning process. So again, using with the help of patients, we'll use the APP. We will have data collection of physiological data from patients. This data will be clinically curated clinically curated by medical doctors with the experts, and this data will be used to do machine learning process. So here, this artificial intelligence hub, which we contacted a Turkish, in fact, it was a Turkish group related with the Turkish government, that they were really good at using artificial intelligence for military training and so on, but now they want to move to e-health, so they offer us to help us with this. So they designed all the artificial intelligence hub that we would require for do this machine learning process. So with this machine learning process, we will make a correlation between evolution of the patient with physiological recorded data. So we will have both data in parallel, and the machine learning process will say, okay, with this physiological recorded data, you have this evolution of the patient. So this is why we need the data recorded and the clinical medical doctors in order to establish this parallelism. And with that, we will be able to enter to a third phase, in which the third phase would be, okay, now we have a new patient, we have this recorded data, and with the recorded data, the machine learning process, the machine learning hub tells you how you will evolve based on the previously machine learning process. So you will have a feedback from this hub in order to tell you that with this data that you are being recorded now, you will probably evolve this way, faster or slower and so on. So in order to avoid this evolution, this progression of the disease, we recommend you to do this certain amount of activity. So it will be a closed circle in which the idea is to reduce the number of visits to the clinical experts, because even with these post-pandemic COVID times, to visit a hospital sometimes can be complicated, and even for some population, the hospital that is a center of expertise for a rare disease, as McArdle is, can be far away. So the idea of all this is to create an automated tool that avoids you all these visits, that can allow you to do some certain degree of exercise, and then automatically you receive a feedback of what you need to do in order to be better, feel better, and also makes you comfortable about doing exercise. So I hope this project can finally be funded and we can develop all this. And I know that this is probably a higher scope project, and between the APP I have shown you here and this project, there is a big difference in the scope. And in the middle, and this will be very important for the participation of the patients, is that the same Spanish grant that funded the development of the APP, now it got some extra funding. So once you try the APP, once we see whether you like it or not, how you find problems with it, your feedback will be very important, because this extra funding will allow us to improve the APP and introduce new variables, either from that you recommend, patients or clinicians recommend, in order to be able to improve it. So now So overall is that now we have the funding for this APP. This APP obviously will have its limitations, but let's start with it. Let's see how it works. Let's see if it's a reliable tool. Once we see that it's a reliable tool for everyone, patients, clinicians, we can detect what else would be needed, and we have funding for that. So once you say, okay, it would be nice to have this, this, and this, or to include this, this, and this, then we have extra 10,000 euros to include all these new, let's say, gadgets, tools, whatever in this APP. And then in parallel, we will work in obtaining fundings for this, for the creation of this big project in which we will link the APP to an artificial intelligence hub. So I hope we are lucky, and whatever thing that you need from me in order to improve the APP, or whatever question you have about it, I will be more than happy to answer. Probably writtenly it will be easy for you to understand than just my English here. So I'm very glad to have the chance to speak to you, and I hope you had this presentation and the APP useful. Thank you very much, and I will be very glad to answer all your questions. Thank you.